You know, you've got a great report. It encapsulates a lot of things that we talk about here in the Economic War Room. Higher food prices, World Economic Forum control, you know, the whole eat less meat and more bugs, and then the farmers revolting in Europe. So it's a powerful study. I got a preview of this report at a recent conference. We want to take a bad, good, beautiful approach. So we talk about the problem, then just like your report, you talk about some solutions, and then we'd love to talk about the beautiful future that we can have together if we follow the good recommendations and restore liberty to America. So let's start with the problem. What caused Buckeye Institute to pick up this paper on net zero climate control and the farm?
Well, you know, everybody pictures Ohio as a manufacturing state, but like many states, we have a robust agricultural sector. And we've looked at the policies that have come down from the Biden administration, and we realize this is going to impact a lot of our fellow Ohioans and fellow Americans in places you don't expect. And that's at the family dinner table. Quite simply, day one, his first day of office, President Biden rejoined the Paris Climate Accords, which forced his administration to start proposing a swath of new regulations that would hammer the agricultural sector by making every aspect of farming more expensive. And that's because farmers rely on cheap, affordable energy, natural gas, from everything from powering their tractors to making fertilizer. And when you make all farm costs more expensive, well, that means Americans are going to be paying more for food at their table.
If they can get the food, because a lot of farmers, if you make it too expensive, they just go out of business. They don't want to continue. So I've got here a farm operating expenses under ESG. We talk about ESG all the time. It stands for environment, social, governance, but it really is a progressive grab bag of things, ideas that they've had that they want to force on the American people that the market wouldn't otherwise accept. Can you quantify, you're a data guy, quantify for us the difference in operating costs from what they are today to what they will be under ESG?
Yeah, what the top line is the average farm, 750 acres of corn farm, will be paying about over a third more in operating cost each year because they're being forced to abide by these policies. That's $65,000 to farms. And the costs, increased costs, come from the fact that fertilizer is going to be costing about 29% more. Because a lot of that will be banned from the fact that natural gas can no longer be used to produce fertilizer. We know, for example, that farmers have to use propane, to dry out grain crops so they can get to the table. So the farming industry, not everybody can farm. It's very technical, it's very complicated, and unfortunately, a lot of the methods that modern farmers use to produce the crops that we enjoy are going to be either more expensive, if not outright banned, under a lot of these regulations that are going to happen under ESG and net zero policies.
I've seen the studies. Free market capitalism brought down poverty to the lowest level it's ever been in history. Well, it uses energy to accomplish that. And essentially, these ESG policies are eliminating energy. So you can't make fertilizer out of solar cells. So I look here, you've got a chart, it says the operating costs, and you mentioned it, $192,000 are the current cost for the average farm versus $257,000. That could put some farmers out of business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the concern has to be if you're the typical American family farm, you think back, to Farm Aid, you had country singers talking about defending the American way of life. These are the farms that are going to be really pressured because they're going to have their everyday cost of simply farming going up. And then we also have indirect costs that the farmer is going to have a harder time having to fill out all these forms and regulations. And if you're a family farmer, you know how to dry your crops, you know how to milk your cows. Filling out, the ESG compliance forms, well, that's something you may have to hire another accountant. So you're going to lose time being able to spend with your wife and children. So, the consequence that we see is not only is food going to cost more for American families, but you're going to see a lot of these family farms sell out, give up their way of life, sell out to big companies, and simply go out of business.